The biggest thing that I noticed with this recording and the biggest issue I think was the amount of stress that I placed at the start of words that started with vowels. So there's two reasons for this. I think some of them have roots within English, and then in English when a word starts with a vowel, at least from my understanding, we tend to put a lot of stress on it. So for example, the word interest in English starts with like an in. And so I think when I say in Spanish, I also carry that stress, even though technically the stress is at the back of the word in Spanish. So in the recording, I say interés instead of interés. And so that's an example of something I do. The other thing I do is that for a lot of words, I think I definitely put a lot of stress in the front. Not enough to like make it like peso, as in the example, but I definitely hold that I like just long enough that it starts to sort of like waver into EI diphthong territory. So an example of when I did this in the recording was the word indio. So instead of going like indio, I sort of went indio, like I held it for just a second. And a part of me too does wonder if that's something that came from the fact that I was reading out loud and I wasn't just quite used to it. So it's for a lot of these, I end up stressing the first syllable kind of unnecessarily. I think just because I'm trying to read and I'm doing a bad job of it, because that's something that I noticed I didn't really replicate in the other video where we just had to talk naturally. Another really big thing that I noticed were my C sounds in this. There are two words where instead of going like a Spanish C, I go k, like a full k. And that's in cercano y in casos. So in cercano, I go cercano with like a huge k, and then in casos, it's definitely an aspirated k, k. But I know not to do that now, so I know it's not casos. It's not casos. Yeah. I know it's not casos, but casos. Another problem that I noticed within the recording was my labiodental b sound. And all of the recordings I go v, so like bez. So instead of beths, I go vez. Instead of balaron, I go valeron, etc., etc. So that's something I also know not to do now. The other really big thing I noticed was the z sound. I made that a lot in the recording. So instead of making that sort of sound that it's supposed to, I would go z. So instead of alcanzaron, I said alcanzaron, and that was another really big one. Something I feel like I did well though was that I didn't hear an H in that entire recording. I definitely got like a little close, like you can hear the shadow of it just a tiny bit, but I don't think anywhere in the recording I made like an actual h sound. And so that's something that I definitely did good. The last thing I feel like is that my intonation just wasn't very Spanish at all. There's a lot of pauses in between words, and because of that machine gun rhythm that Spanish is supposed to have, it just makes my speech sound really not like foreign and unnatural and just not like a native speaker at all. And so I think a part of that definitely comes from the unfamiliarity of reading. And again, part of it too is like that's just something I've noticed and I definitely need to work on in the future.